Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Uh, Hope you're having a great week. Today's Friday. Time to get out of school or get out of work. Time to go fishing for the weekend. We're gonna have a long weekend, Labor Day weekend. Lakes is gonna be busy. Been a long weekend. We'll have all the pleasure boaters out there getting in our way. Uh, but I want to go over the top baits that I'm going to have tied on in the month of September. The month of September kind of marks the time of early fall fishing. Uh, we've already had some of our cooler mornings down in the upper 50s, low 60s, several of those, and so that kind of shows the bass that fall is coming. It's time to start feeding up. I know that the daytime temperatures are still pretty hot, but those nighttime temperatures is what's going to let the water temperature go down even at just a degree or two. Uh, Tells the fish it's time to start feeding up. It's about fall. And so they're going to start moving from their summertime haunts out there in the deeper water. They're going to start moving up a little shallower. So they're going to start chasing the bait, the bait balls, shad. They're going to start looking for bluegill. They're trying to feed up, get ready for winter. Their metabolism slows way down in the winter, so they don't move a whole lot. So they try to feed up and get good and fat for the winter. And they're just in a feeding frenzy in the fall. Sometimes it's really hard to catch fish in the fall, even though they're chasing bait and eating and feeding up. Sometimes it can be difficult to catch the fish in the fall. September, October, November it starts getting better, but especially September and October seems to be some tougher fishing. But one thing you want to think about is since they're feeding up and chasing shad, you want to fish a little faster a lot of the times. Uh, Sometimes on high pressure days like it is today, there's not a cloud in the sky, it's high bluebird days, you'll need to slow down and go to finessey baits. But for the most part, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be fishing faster moving baits and even bigger baits uh, so they can look for a big meal. So the number one thing I'm going to have tied on is a True Faith Custom Baits buzz bait. If I can get it loose off of my, there we go. True Faith Custom Bait buzz bait. You can't beat a True Faith Custom Bait buzz bait. Look at this meat hook that's on this thing. Now that's a hook. And that's the mouse color. That's one of my favorite and best colors there is. That's all. There's 2 or 3 guys that fishes Beaver Lake tournaments. They don't fish nothing else than my mouse buzz bait. I'm gonna have that buzz bait on, and because it's moving, and I can cover a lot of water. That's another thing you're gonna want to do is cover a lot of water in the fall. For fall fishing, trying to find where they're at, and maybe find a school of them. A lot of times you can find a school of them balled up under bait fish, trying to get them. Another thing I will have tied on is a True Faith Custom Bait spinner bait. And again, it's a mouse color. It's got a silver and a gold blade, and those red eyes really sets that off. And a lot of times those fish will hone in on red eyes, and I catch a lot of fish on that on that spinnerbait. And of course, spinnerbait, it's a fast mover. On oh, high bluebird days like this, I may reel a little bit slower, uh, but I may not. I may still be burning it right under the surface. This time of year, I burn those spinner baits just right under the surface. Sometimes I let those blades flutter out of the water, make it look like bait fish spitting up out of the water, jumping up out of the water, spitting water. Uh, that'll create reaction strikes and that kind of thing. But especially in clear water, real clear water, I want to burn that thing so they don't have time to get a good look at it. In stained to dingy water, I'm going to slow down a little bit and get it kind of down a couple, 3-4 feet in the water column. Slow down, give them time to find it in the dirtier water. But for the most part, I'm going to be burning it. Another good bait is a whopper plopper, because you can reel these things really fast, and if you need to, you can stop them. They won't sink. But the old whopper plopper in a shad or bluegill color, this is still a whopper plopper. Another good color. I use either whopper plopper or the Berkeley Chopo. Both of those is really good. But you can cover a lot of water with it. You can reel them fast or you can reel them slow. It just depends on how the fish wants them. But I'm going to have that trolling motor on. I'm not going to really turn it off. I'm just going to leave it kind of constant, slow, constant. Uh, uh, Speed, and just cover water. Those also, a wake bait is a good bait. A wake bait right under the right under uh, right under the surface, causing a wake, causing little waves behind the bait. You cover a lot of water with that, and the fish will come up there and annihilate those as well. Another good bait is a big glide bait. You can throw those and work them right under the water. Very, very good this time of year. It's a little slower than the buzz bait, spinner bait, whopper plopper, and wake bait. But a lot of times the fish will come up and show themselves. Then you can catch them on a different bait. A good glide bait is a good bait to throw this time of year. Another good bait that I will have tied on, since the fish is starting to move up, I'm going to have a shad colored crankbait on. Fishing anywhere from the bank all the way out to 12 or 14 feet. Those fish is moving up, chasing those shad, so I'm going to have a shad colored crankbait on, or I may have a crawdad colored crankbait on. This thing's digging the bottom. Got this bill digging the bottom. And they'll think it's a crawdad, and they'll eat these things up, trying to get a crawdad. I'll show you my live well here in a minute from just the other night when I caught that freaking swamp donkey. Anyway, there's pieces of crawdad in my live well that those fish I had in my live well spit out, and there's a lot of orange on them, so that orange belly of that Rapala DT 14, I think it's 14, it's either 10 or 14, 10 or 12, 14, something like that. Anyway, they'll see that and they'll come and attack it. Another good bait to have tied on this time of year is a fluke style bait, a plastic jerk bait. Work this thing around cover, around laydowns, around stumps. If your lake has grass in it, like say you're fishing the Arkansas River or in Tennessee, some of those lakes are down Florida, Texas. It's got a lot of grass and fish. These fluke style baits. This here is actually the big bite bait, jerk minnow. It's the same thing as a Zoom fluke, super fluke. I've got Zoom super flukes in the boat, and I've got these. Uh, this right here is my favorite color, is the disco violet. They make a disco violet in the flukes, and they make a disco violet in these big bite bait jerk minnows. But those are all good. As you can see, all those baits were for up high in the water calling, and we fish kind of fast. Early in September, I'm still going to have a big worm tied on. They're still going to hit a big worm. Fishing around brush piles, anywhere from 8 to 14, 15 foot deep. If you can't get them to come up and hit one of these reaction baits, and you throw your big worm in there, you can still use that. Also, for getting down in the bottom is a football jig, a True Faith custom bait football jig. This is a stand-up head. The reason it's called a stand-up head is because it stands up, and it'll make your craw trailer, stand up, and it'll look like a crawdad in the defensive position, and they'll come down there and kill it. Throw that around rock piles, brush piles, like I said, 8 to 14, 15 foot of water. Pull that through there, and you're going to catch fish. Another jig I'm going to have tied on is a True Faith custom bait brush jig. This is for the fish that's up shallower, especially lay downs and stuff that's anywhere from the bank out to 6 or 8 foot of water. You can pitch or flip this thing into a brush or a lay down or around stumps and stuff. And again, True Faith puts these bigger hooks in there, which I really like. I've never lost a fish yet on True Faith custom baits jigs with those big meat hooks on them. But anyway, flip this thing around cover, and it comes through with that head, the shape of that head, kind of a triangle shape. It comes through the brush and rocks really well. And I'll have those tied on to fish a slower presentation, especially if I throw a top water or spinner bait into that brush lay down or around stumps, and I get a hit, but it doesn't take it. I'm either going to follow it up with this fluke, or I'm going to follow it up with that jig. I'm going to put, as soon as they hit and miss my top water, I'm just putting it down and immediately picking up either that jig or fluke and putting it right back where that fish just hit my top water. And 99% of the time they'll hit either that jig or that fluke. The way you fish a fluke, if you're not familiar with a fluke, you'll kind of Texas rig it, like I showed you how to Texas rig before. I'll use this red hook so you can see better. But you'll take your fluke and you'll go in maybe like this, maybe a quarter-inch down. No, I had it right foot down. Anyway, bring it in, bring it up here to the top, get it on your neck right there, and then you'll put your hook, these flukes, and this jerk minnow has a kind of a hollow belly, and that will fit up in there. That'll fit up inside there, and you'll come out the top. You'll come out the top of the bait, as you can see, like that right there. And then, like this, it has an indentation for your hook to actually set in. And it can just set in there, or or if you're fishing really heavy cover, you can just barely stick your hook point back into the plastic. And as long as it's straight up here, as long as all of that comes together straight, then you're good to go. You don't want it kinked up or anything. You want your fluke to be straight. Here, pretend this is a fluke. This was the trailer I had on my buzzbait the other night. Pretend this is a fluke, and it's kind of a fluke looking bait. Run it out like that. Run it up. Oops. Anyway, like this, and then it'll look like that. Then you'll stick your hook up through like this, and there you go. It'll be straight in the water. You can see the top of my hook is right there, level with it. And say I'm fishing heavy cover, and I'm afraid that's going to get hung up. I just kind of pinch it up a little bit, and then kind of just barely stick that hook point right there into the plastic. And that makes it weedless. And then when the fish comes up and bites it, when they bite that, it comes down easy, and you've got your good hook set. But those are the baits I'm definitely going to have tied on, especially the topwater spinner bait, and a crankbait, a jig, and a big worm will definitely be tied on my rods in my rod box for the rest of for the rest of September. If they're being finicky and you need to go smaller, there's smaller. I think this is the 110. This is one of my favorite sizes in the Whopper, Plopper, and Chopo. But they have like 90s and 70s, and you may need to go down to a smaller size crankbait, smaller top water. You may want to go down to a micro jig. True Faith Custom Baits makes little micro football jigs and that kind of thing. And take your stuff for a drop shot or a shaky head. If they're being finicky, you can put on that shaky head or a drop shot and still catch you some fish. But hopefully, working things a little faster will get you some reaction strikes and get around the shad, find the shad with the brush piles and rock piles and the right kind of, and standing trees, that kind of thing. Boat docks is great places to look for fish. Boat dock pattern, and you don't want me to get on boat dock pattern, I will whoop you good. I am a master at boat docks, even if I do say so myself. But I've won a lot of money fishing off of boat docks. I actually did a class on boat dock fishing at one time, and I brought home in one weekend. Scott and I, a friend of mine, we brought home, I think, about $5,000 in one weekend off of a boat dock pattern. We got second place. We almost won the boat. We missed that boat by like 2 or 3 ounces, but we got a big check in that one. And then that was a cystic fibrosis tournament over on Norfolk. And then the next day was the Bass Cat tournament, and it was 2 days. And we caught I think 32 pounds of fish off of one boat dock. It's actually we caught that many fish off of one boat dock uh, in that one weekend. So anyway, we caught fish on some other boat docks, but that one boat dock it had something special under it, and had a walkway, had a sidewalk that come down to the boat dock. They had it extended down into the lake, and I guess when the water goes down, they just still have a walkway all the way down to their dock ramp. But those fish was on that ramp, and as long as you could cast or skip something under that dock, or go down and hit that walkway, you was gonna catch a fish. And we caught some really good fish. Anyway, we got a big check in both those tournaments, and we brought home. It was at least 5,000, because I know I brought home 2,500, and he had the other half. So it's either 2,500 or $3,000 that we brought home that one weekend. So anyway, that's the baits that I will have tied on that I will be throwing in September. If you have any questions or need any baits made, just shoot me a message, get a hold of me, and I hope you have a blessed and safe Labor Day weekend.